Okay, so good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the International Perspectives webinar series of Go Study that is held today on 5 December 2025. My name is Shafira, and I will be leading you throughout the session as the Master of Ceremony for today's session. For today, we are going to learn and discuss about the topic of identifying research topics and gaps in English language teaching, or ELT for SSCI publication. This topic is brought to you by Professor Dr. Yudi Arifani from Universitas Muhammadiyah Gresik, Indonesia. But first of all, before we start today's session, I would like to say thank you to all of the participants who have gathered here to be with us. We are delighted to have participants from various institutions and countries to support our effort in cross-cultural academic collaboration. To create an engaging atmosphere, I encourage all the participants to open your camera throughout the session and use the virtual background that our team has provided in the chat box. Okay, so before we start, I would like to do the project introduction. So the International Perspectives webinar series is a program that is jointly led by the CIMOTED, China Asian Technical Education Cooperation, and is co-hosted by International Youth and Education and also Go Study. This program is expected to invite 1 to 2 school faculty members to give webinars each month. This program is aiming to enhance and also enrich the growth of knowledge and broaden the horizons of learners in the Southeast Asian region. And we provide high quality and universalizable online lectures that will help learners to acquire specialized knowledge. Now that we have gone through project introduction, I am honored to introduce the participants here for our speaker for today, Professor Dr. Yudi Arifani. Professor, are you here with us?
Hey, already joined.
Okay, great. So I will introduce more about Professor Yudi here. So he is a professor of English language education at Universitas Muhammadiyah Gresik, Indonesia. He is also a national reviewer for Research Grant Directorate Research, Technology and Community Service at Ministry of Education, an assessor for Indonesian Journal Sinta Indexation, and he is also currently the head of department for Department of Education and Society at Institute of Science, Innovation and Culture, or MUTK, Thailand. One of his amazing achievements is that he has published 51 publications in Scopus and SSCI journals for the past few years. Lastly, his expertise include EFL teacher professional development, technology-based language teaching and learning. And without further ado, now that you have been introduced to our speaker for today, I will now hand over the session for Professor Yudi to share his materials with all of us here. For Professor Yudi, the time and screen are yours.
Okay, thank you, Safira, for the nice introduction.
You're welcome, sir.
Before I start sharing my presentation, so in this case, I would like to express my regards to the committee, to Safira, and also everyone who joined this wonderful webinar. In this session, please let me share my slide first. So in this session, I would like to share my, personal experience, my research journey during becoming English lecture, and actually I never joined any kind of seminar on how to write research topic and how to identify gap, how to publish in SSCI journals, but all are coming from my long journey and also tough journey, how my previous article was rejected, and finally I learned reading from 7 a.m. until sometimes 10 p.m. I try to print it, the article, reading the gaps, and also admire how the authors of the article found out the topics and provide novelty and finally publish in reputable journal. That is actually my personal experience. So in this case, I am very happy to share. And for today, I would like to was it present how to identify research topics and gap, especially in English language teaching for SSCI publication or for Scopus publication. What I mean here is non-predatory journal. So for my purpose of my publication, I never publish in what is expensive or predatory journal. Predatory journals are characterized by expensive, what is APG or author publication charge. Please try to avoid those kind of journal because we are not recommending you to publish your research paper because you are working hard for your research, then finally you have to pay for your own work. That is unfair actually. Okay, so before starting, what is it? My topic, I would like to say that uh, identifying research topic, this is the first step, the basic step before you are able to write your research according to reputable standard journal. So in this case, please try to, what is it, uh, get a higher reputable journal for your references. So you are recommending to read, recommending to download, to learn from reputable journal published under the SSI for finding research topic. And today I'm going to share, at least we have 7 what is subtopics that we are going to learn. Number one, we are discussing what is actually a research topic. I do not want to provide a long explanation about definition of research topic, but I'm going to go directly to characteristic of strong research topic and also some example, including my own research publication and how I generate, how I come up with uh, research topic proposed by expert, proposed by systematic literature review, proposed by recommendation from other published article. Then we also learn research gap. This is the most important thing. You have to be able to find a good research or strong research topic and also identify the gap before you are able to write your introduction section, continue to your literature review, and also uh, methodology. And the most difficult things, this is not the most difficult thing. This is actually a standard of how to find a good research topic. So later, when you want to learn how to publish a research paper in a reputable journals, you have to learn at least more than 15 meetings because yeah, research and publication is not it's very challenging. If you know the tricks, you will be able to what is publish your research paper into the reputable journals, international peer-reviewed journal. And I'm going also to give you some example of a research gap, how to propose or identify and formulate research gap according to good research standard. And the last, I'm going to show you a little bit after you are able to identify research gap and also source of research topic and writing the gaps, I'm going to give you a clue how you draft your introduction. So the next session, if you still want to learn more about how to write the research draft, I'm going to share to Safira and also the committee for learning more in depth about writing research. Okay, now we are start from uh, what is actually research topic. So research topic is actually the central issue. Issue mean what is topic. So central issue that is going to be studied or central issue of your research. That is the topic. So you can wait. Let me go to another slide. I'm going to show you this one, like this one. Can you see my article here?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
good.
sir.
So this article published under the Innovation in Language Learning and Teaching. And this article is indexed by SSCI and also Scopus Q1, quartile 1. And the topic here is actually positive psychology, motivational factors. In this case, I propose basic psychological needs. We have autonomy, relatedness, and also competence. and also ESP. So when we are discussing about topic, the topic is actually basic psychological need or motivational factor or psychological perspective and also ESP. That is topic. So come up this topic, we have to identify issue. So later, in the next slide, I'm going to explain how can I come up with this example. This is actually a topic. So different from the title. When you see the title will be the name of the article. So title represent the content of the article. That's why it is actually in the name of the article. Now we come back to the slide again. Okay, let me move it into slides. So, okay, but after you get your research topic, like what I have give you example before, the topic is basic psychological needs or motivational factors for ESP or even for teacher professional development. So you have to define the set of boundary. So your topic cannot be very broad, but you have to specify your research topic. You have basic psychological needs that is already very specific, because basic psychological needs and motivational factor are quite different. If motivation maybe only intrinsic and also extrinsic motivation, but basic psychological needs can refer to competence in English education, of course, ability to speak English fluently, adequately, and appropriately, and also target culture. So we can relate the learners with native speaker situation and also language competence. But in ESP, we like nursing, for example, we have to relate our student with nurse, how they are able to communicate with another nurse, how are they able to communicate with the doctors as the boss, as management, and also the student are able to communicate with patient and family of the patient. That is how we relate in this case. This is actually very specific. So you have to specify your topic. Okay, that is very simple actually. And the next, this is the second important subtopic about characteristic of strong or good research topic. We have 5 characteristics here. Number 1, a strong research topic should be relevant. Relevant mean address a real problem or addressing important issues. But please remember, because reputable journal or research not only solving local issue, but also address the global issue. So you have to look at the relevancy of your research between the local situation, and you have to explain, you have to connect whether your research already address the global issue. So you have to look at 2 things. You have to look at 2 perspectives, your local perspective regarding the issue, regarding the problem, and also regarding to the data that you have for your study. And again, you have to connect to the global gaps, what the global needs in your study. For example, when you read an article, and most of article in teacher education, they only look motivational factor using non-basic psychological perspective. So you can come up with different psychological perspective in your study. So that is the relevant between local and global needs. And also specific, we already explained before. So you have to provide very specific research, because why should be specific? Because when you are able to identify research topic very specific, your study will be very in-depth, very meaningful. And because in-depth, you will contribute to the body of knowledge. That's why number 5, you have a novel or significance. For example, like I propose, let me give you example. When I propose basic psychological needs actually already exists in the EFL teaching and learning proposed by Alamer. Alamer is from United Kingdom, and they learned that English learners should be connected with the English competent and also native, and also target culture in native speaker. And also the situation should be real, like in the native speaker. But about ESP in Indonesia, if you can imagine, English for specific purposes in Indonesia, like in Brawijaya University, like in my university, or in other universities. You can see the lectures. Imagine the lectures now. The lectures are from or graduated from English education department and do not have any background of specific purposes. For example, like me, I used to teach English for medical sciences, English for law, English for biology. You can imagine how hard a non-ESP background are teaching ESP. So you can propose basic psychological needs. You have to relate the student with the law, with the police, with the criminal issue, with the regulation issue. So you have to connect them. You have to ask them to watch video regarding regulation, regarding the life in the prison, regarding what is the police job and also nursing job, regarding how native speaker communicate with family during the hospital communication with the patient. So you propose something new in Indonesia and globally. So that is number 5, novelty. And the next should be researchable. So strong research topics should be researchable, meaning you should have a data. Because if you do not have data and you do not have enough methodology for your research, so meaning your research will not be able to be studied, cannot be explored. And the next should be theoretically grounded. Theoretically grounded meaning you have theories, you have a theoretical foundation or theoretical framework as a media for designing or formulating your research instrument, for collecting the data, and also for analyzing the data. So you have to consider these 5 dimensions, these 5 characteristics when you want to formulate a strong research topic. This is very important for you. Okay, relevant, specific, relevant not only ability to provide the data, issue in local context but global, but also the needs of the journal. Because there is misconception, misunderstanding. My colleague at the lectures often consult their research to me. They write down their research based on their data only, without connecting to the global needs. And finally, they submit the article not from the reference that they write down at the end of the articles, and they submit to different journal. And that's crazy, right? So that is not relevant, because when your topic come from an article that provide gaps and you continue the gaps and you are filling the gap based on your research data, and you have to submit at the journals that you quote, that you cite in your references. So please try to avoid this misconception. Do not submit your research article to the unrelevant journal who address the issue that you raise in your research. That is what is underscore of this important thing in characteristic of research topic. Okay, now the next slide will be, I give you example. Wait, let me move back again to the slide. Okay. So this is example of, let me sharing to you the content of this article. You know, this is actually, the topic is scaffolding, because Vygotsky, sociocultural theorist, one of the content of the theory is scaffolding, how adult learners try to scaffold young learners to be able to learn. So this is very interesting. This is not the first, maybe the 10 or the 100 something article that I read, and I try to learn the topic. This article explore about experience of parents and child in Indonesian context or maybe in different countries context. You will not be you will see parents usually at night they will talk with their daughters. We call it as a diet. Parent child, usually mother and young girls at night before they are sleeping, before they go to the bed. Parents usually tell a story to the childrens. But in this case, the research participants are using iPad story sharing. This happened in mainland in England. The parent is from England, and also the learners is also from England. Both of them can speak English very well. You know, during the scaffolding process in the finding, when parents ask the young girl to continue the story, young girl can easily continue the story. What happened with the Cinderella and the young girls? Yeah, Cinderella like this, and she can continue the story very well. And when the mother asks the children to what is to follow the sounds of the animal in the story, the young girl can imitate similar precisely with the. So for me, this is quite interesting because it happens in mainland where parents, where research participant can speak English, can communicate in English very well with no language barriers. But how if it is happen in Indonesia? If it happens in Indonesia, because I have one of my students uh, have been teaching autism spectrum disorder learners. So let me try to show you. I hope I already download. Uh, Not yet here. So let me show you in. Please wait for a moment. Let me try to open it in the what is it? Google Scholar. So I try to criticize the article. Oh, sorry, ASD. This one. Because my student teach English for autism spectrum disorder. And I try to criticize the article. Can you imagine the contribution of the previous article? Previous article already contribute to the body of knowledge in terms of scaffolding. So the scaffolding quite smoothly, parents can guide the learners more smoothly because there is no communication barrier. Now, how about our ASD students, autism? When you give a question to ASD students, autism spectrum disorder student, or student with autism spectrum disorder, they will run away. Their what is concentration span not last longer. That is quite challenging. How can scaffolding? Do you think that scaffolding will be the same as the participant in the mainland England? I don't think so. So finally, the article published under the, and we have published 3 articles, 2 under Asia TEFL and 2 in language-related research. So that is how we come up with the topics. Okay, let's move back to the slide again. And the next is basic psychological need of in-service EFL teachers in blended professional training. Okay, let me show you again. On this one. This one is actually another phenomena. I come up this topic because, in Indonesian professional development context or training, the government already assigned university lectures for training the teachers, secondary school teachers, ability to improve their instructional practices. But most of the research, they do not see how motivational factor was applied appropriately during the training session. And I try to propose basic psychological needs in professional training because, professional training usually they only examine the outcome. The process is also examined, but inside of the planning, inside of the psychological insight of the participant, never look into the consideration or still overlook in this case. So my question is, how can teacher training can relate the teachers can assign the student, can relate the student to the native speaker situation, to the authentic language. How can in-service teacher training assist the student to be autonomous learners by watching YouTube independently regarding native speaker context of learning English, regarding the culture, regarding the pronunciation, regarding the language use, and also competence, not only mastering the English, but also target culture in the real situation, in the similar or relevant situation. Finally, it is also accepted in SSCI paper. So in this case, identifying research topic is quite important as long as we combine with our critical perspective. The next slide will what is present the sources of identifying or formulating research topic. Okay. So what is actually a research gap? From my previous example, actually I also already shared research gap. So before learning more in depth, what's actually a research gap? Research gap is the missing piece, or I can say limitation in the existing literature or in the available studies. Because missing piece, something missing. What is missing here? Later we will discuss about this. Something previous studies have not yet explored, not yet explained sufficiently, nor yet agreed upon. So it is the justification or your critical perspective toward the limitation of previous or available studies. Please keep in mind, this is very simple, but it brings serious consequences. You can see research gap is the missing piece in the existing literature. Remember the keyword, existing literature. Or something previous studies have not yet explored. But in reality, not only Indonesian researchers, because I'm also teaching in Thailand, and I have all PhD in my university in Thailand, because they have to publish their article in Scopus and now should be published in SSCI journal. And most of them, and also some of Indonesian lecturers, they write down their research not based on existing literature. So how come? Because the definition of research gap is missing piece in the existing literature. Remember this. So you have to review. You have to synthesize if you have a data. For example, like me, because one of my master students, postgraduate student, have or has a autism spectrum disorder student or student with autism spectrum disorder. have an informal English course. So I try to ask her, please try to find article which discusses ASD or non-ASD, but the topic is still relevant for your data to be feeling the global issue. And finally, like I have shown you before, Kurchikova, a Vygotsky perspective, and finally published as ASD, which provide different contribution to the body of knowledge. If the Kurchikova paper in mainland England or in British, the contribution is only for normal students when they do not have communication barriers, because participant, the diet, parent and girls can communicate in English smoothly. So that is the contribution. And here for student with autism disorder, the contribution is for participant which has communication barriers or not able to speak in English very well, like the other. So we can contribute globally. We feel we contribute to the body of knowledge. Why? Because we try to connect from the data that we have to the need of the global issue. So it is not necessary for us to publish our article in predatory journal, because you are able to identify research gap from your data that you have in your local classroom. What is this? Think bigger. For example, from your small room, 3 times 4 meters square, you plant a mushroom, and in the existing literature, you already have 7 mushroom. And finally, when you modify one mushroom and you plant that, and later after 1 month or 6 months, your mushroom grow, and you have a different from the 7. So the world will change. Then the type of mushroom is not 7, but 8. So this explanation is actually represent what I have explained before. From the local context, from small classroom, from small English class, in our environment, we can contribute to the global body of knowledge. This is actually the benefit of identifying a research gap. Okay, so we have justification. We write an original story. If you are already able to identify research gap, meaning you will be able to write your original story, original research, and you will not be able to copy other research because you create your own research, your own story. And people will enjoy reading Kuchirkova and reading your paper, because when we are reading both of the article, oh, that's great. The 2 authors already show us, what is it, scaffolding theory in normal participant with no communication barrier. And on the other hand, the researcher already provide a scaffolding for learners with communication barriers. So that is actually ability of author to be able to find a strong research gap. Okay, we continue the next slide. Now, types of research gap. Empirical gap refers to the absence, the missing things in previous study about particular phenomenon. I give you more clearer example. Suppose I am teaching reading. This is in, I do not know whether it is in Indonesian teaching habit. I do not hope so. When I look at one of my colleague, English lecturer, teaching reading more than 10 years, you can imagine one page of article like this, maybe consisting 5 paragraph, You can just say reading about Three Little Pig and on the Sad Boy, for example, consisting of 5 paragraphs. And the teacher give the reading passage for the 40 students. They are sitting from the first until the 10 rows, or maybe until the 8 rows. And the teacher asked the students to read the passage. Maybe the first student who sit in the front row for the first column, please please read the first paragraph. And then the teacher will ask the next student to continue reading the second paragraph, the third paragraph. Finally, just 10 students, the reading passage already finished. All are already read. Is that reading? That is empirical gap. You know the teaching reading practice. Teaching reading practice is not like that. You have to know individual reading, your students' individual reading abilities. Ability to read the passage, ability to comprehend the passage, ability to synthesize the passage, ability to answer the question from the passage. You have to know individually. When I visited during attending visiting scholar at Ohio State, every teacher has their own journals indicating learning progress, learning reading progress for each students. And that's great. And in our EFL teaching context, you can see, you can imagine. So you can propose an issue for addressing this phenomena. This is what we call empirical gap. I give you another real example. Collaboration process. I hope most of you are lecturers or students, and you are teaching English or you are teaching everything. You ask your student to collaborate outside of the classroom. Usually you give assignment and ask 5 or 4 students to work outside of the classroom. And you never monitor during out-class collaboration process. And find like me, for example, when I was attending PhD program in Malang, I work very hard for my group. I conceptualize working for the project, and I asked one of my friends to present. And one of my friend who present without contributing during collaboration process, he got A score, and me got C score. How come it happened? Because there is no assessment during out-class collaboration process. In this case, not only in English teaching and learning, but also in psychology department, in engineering department, in nursing department, in whatever, we still found out this kind of phenomena. So you can propose something new. You can create from the theory of collaborative learning, from the theory of learning engagement. So when your students work outside of the classroom with your instrument, they can work wisely. They can work equally. So there is no discrimination. So you can, this is what we call with empirical gap. How can I come up with this kind of gap? Of course, reading journey. So the more you read, the more you'll be able to criticize empirical gap. And the next is theoretical gap. Theoretical gap refers to absence or incomplete use of theories in explaining phenomenon in previous studies. For example, in this slide, and this slide is basic psychological need in EFL setting and applied in ESP. So you know, basic psychological need consists of 3 things. Or maybe it is better, let me write here. Wait, sorry. So let me share screen again. I'm going to write in my slide. Wait. So here. So you can, okay. theoretical gap. You know, basic psychological need, BPN, we have three, namely autonomy, we have relatedness, and we have competence. Let me make it bigger than this. Okay. Now in EFL, we can see in EFL, wait, EFL, these three things, when you want to relatedness, especially for the second dimension or second category, in EFL, we just can relate the student with English language competent and culture, right? Target culture. But how about in ESP? ESP, you have more than two. We have specific English, we have specific content knowledge, and we have a general English. So basic psychological theory will not be applied in this case in ESP. So we create. So I create different theories to understand the English. Why? Because in ESP, when you are nursing, you have to be able to connect your student with nurse, lecturer, with nurse, with patient, with the patient family, the family of the patients, and also the doctors. So broader than this. So in this case, the theory of basic psychological need doesn't work for ESP. So I contribute to the body of knowledge for ESP. That is what we call with theoretical gap. And the next, we have methodological gap. I give you a clear example again, methodological gap. When you see AI in academic writing, use self-reported surveys. I use questionnaire in my study, or maybe many researchers use questionnaire in their studies. Try to explore teachers' experiences, learners' experiences in using AI for writing their research proposal or for academic writing. You can imagine when I collect the data using questionnaire, I cannot learn in depth because your answers are restricted, are limited by ticking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in Likert scale. And that kind of research cannot explain the dynamic aspect of writing. We do not know how the learner's writing progress. So this is what I call methodological gap. So the method, collecting data, analyzing data using a questionnaire will not be able to look the dynamic aspect of learning. I'm not able to see how writers, how our student writing progresses. We cannot explain those phenomena. So this is what we call with methodological gap. Participant gap, I already explained to you before. Example from Kutirkova in mainland England, where the learners, when the diets, mother and young girl learning story sharing using iPad. And finally, we criticize because of the participant different in English and non-English context. And the next will be contradictory findings or gap. I give you example. Let me show you another article who already, oh, no, not this one. I hope this one. This one is written by Totsapon Suranakarin. Totsapon Suranakarin is good article. He wrote down an article on flipped classroom model for improving Thai learners' second language collocation mastery. And the finding, although he used, let me tell you the content of the story and the content of the article first. This article actually criticized previous research. Because previous research only, you know that collocation is different. Collocation is word friends. You have friend, but not all of your friends become your friend. The same as English word, English vocabulary. Drugstore, that is a friend. Making money, that is a friend. Making computer, that is not friend. So collocation is word partner. In this case, many previous studies only assessing participant ability in mastering collocation, but there is no improvement in the teaching strategy. So that's why Dr. Sapon Suranakarin proposed flipped classroom as a new strategies to improve the quality of teaching collocation, because previous research do not criticize teaching strategies. They're only assessing student ability, student mastery of collocation number, not teaching strategy. But you know, the result of the experiment is contradictory. While other people are showing a positive impact on flipped classroom, and this research do not indicate positive impact of flipped classroom. So what is our position then? You know, flipped classroom, 1 week before teaching in the classroom, we provide collaborative tasks using video. They have to work on the concept of collocation 1 week before. And in the classroom, they are just discussing the process of discussing the concept they learned before. So in this case, I try to criticize. Maybe the result are the same because there is no assessment during out-class collaboration, because the author did not monitor the progress of collaborative learning during out-class. So I use engagement theory, although it is not optimum yet, but finally the article is accepted. So contradictory, we can fill the gap from the controversy to contribute to the body of knowledge. Okay, let's continue with the slide again. This is source of research topic. This is actually quite related to my previous explanation. If you see again, number 1 is recommendation for further studies. It is very simple. You just read one article published in reputable journal, non-predatory journal, and you look at the conclusion and suggestion and provide your critical perspective and continue the topic. I'll give you example later. Expert debates. Maybe you never read, but I read a lot. I read more than 500 articles during my research journey from 2012 after graduated from PhD until now. Maybe you never imagine our teaching English practice in Indonesia secondary school. Teachers rely much on using pedagogical authenticity rather than situational authenticity. They discuss grammar, they discuss conversation, but the impact is not so significant. After learning English from elementary school until junior high school, when they meet native speaker, when they are assigned to book a hotel in overseas, for example, the student will get difficulties in communication because the practice is based on curriculum, textbook, but do not consider the real life situation proposed by Rod Ellis. Later, I'm going to show you the example of expert debate. If you are not from English department, for example, you are from psychology, you have to browse expert debate in positive psychology, expert debate in qualitative methodology in psychology, or in peer tutoring to solve bullying issue, for example. You have to browse expert debate, and expert debate can be one of a very powerful sources for find research topic and gaps. I'm going to show you later. And the next is newly developed and validated instrument. Maybe you never imagine. Many researchers already publish article every day. When you read hundreds of journal, every day there will be new published article. And one of them will publish a validation and a development and validation of questionnaire or scale. You can just use, because when you see a newly published article on instrument or questionnaire or scale or rubric, anything, you can just use the gap, the topic already identified, already provided by the researchers at the introduction section. And you never imagine, during my reading journey in 2022 or 2020 until 2022, I follow researchers' publication in publishing newly developed instrument. Not until 1 month, there will be a new publication. Use the instrument for survey, for mixed method, survey and interview. That's crazy. So in this case, they are competing to read the newly developed instrument and use for the research, because the gap is already provided by the authors. And interdisciplinary, I already show you basic psychological need from psychology, and we apply to the English teaching and learning. So it become interdisciplinary. Okay, now let me show you, and the next will be, this is recommendation for further studies. Oh yeah, sorry, I do not copy this. So I'm going to show you from Todd Sapon first. Let me, exit from this. Wait, let me open Todd Sapon again. This one is recommendation for further studies. This is how I learn. The first time I'm learning my research and publication. You can just read at the beginning of the paragraph. Wait, let me move this first. Okay. Which one is the recommendation? Ini. Instructors wishing to flip English collocation classes can create a web quest active learning strategy using Heng theoretical framework. But you know, because in Indonesian EFL context, Indonesian mobile application use, we do not use Line, we do not use web quest, so I use WhatsApp. So I try to put the suggestion, to continue the suggestion for further studies and continue this research. If the flipped classroom previously, this article is without mobile application, so I provide mobile application. But remember, because there is contradictory, I have told you before, out-class collaboration process did not assess at all by the researchers, that may cause the result of the previous finding controversy or contradiction among previous studies. So I propose two. Number one is proposing WhatsApp. So all video are sent to students' WhatsApp group. They chat. Our history can be evidence for assessing out-class collaboration process. So I have two gaps here. Adding new, new media or mobile application, and adding one more critical perspective about assessing out-class collaboration process. And finally, the article published called IJ Q1 and TEWT, Teaching English with Technology, and Emerald Library High-Tech News. So this is very powerful. Okay. And let me move to the slide again. Okay, we go to the next slide. Expert debate. I'm going to show you expert debate. You can see, oh wait, this is a little bit disturbing. So let me close this, and come. This is later. This is continuing the debate. Let me show you the debate. Wait, This is continuing the Tot Sapon Suranan Karing. Let me show you. This is continuing from interdisciplinary. Oh, wait. Let me open it from my, wait. Oh, here, I think here. Rod Ellis, expert debate, this one. Nah, in this case, the article is SSCI article by Cambridge University, Language Teaching, published by Cambridge. This is actually from Rod Ellis. Rod Ellis has inspired me much regarding my publication, maybe the middle journey of my publication. So Rod Ellis actually criticizing about task-based language teaching, which rely much on pedagogical authenticity, like I have told you before. Teachers are following textbook, following curriculum, but they little bit neglect the situation, the real life situation. So the situation in the classroom are not really meaningful when the students are graduated from the classroom, meaning they cannot communicate with the native, in the real native English situation. So I try to propose, which one? Oh, this one and this one. I create what we call with RISE, real life framework. Teaching should be real life. So real life, you can see, you can see the instrument later. So addressing expert debate is also very, very useful in determining the success of your research and publication. Okay. And actually, I have a two paper regarding to the addressing expert debate, and the second one is under call already 2 years, and now is decision pending. You can imagine if you want to show, I can show you. If you want to know, I can show you in call here. That is actually also addressing. Oh, sorry, not this one. Call Taylor Francis. This is SSI, the highest journal. Call Taylor and Francis. Taylor Call Journal. Oh, missing one L. Oh, sorry. Call Taylor and Francis. Oh, sorry, Megan. The internet doesn't work. Sorry. What happened with this one? This one. Already 2 years. Oh, sorry. This is not call. This is called EG. We have different call. This one. So this one is also addressing weaknesses in teaching English in secondary school. So we can go here. This is the top journal and free of charge. This one. With editor, you can see, I submitted 7 January. And you can see here already May 2024, January 2024, you can see here, what is it? You can see March 2025, revision incomplete, revision complete with editor, March 2025, and finally now decision pending. So we are waiting for the publication. So addressing expert debate, very strong. This is you have 78 pages. My revision in this single integrating real life tasks in online task-based instruction for enhancing learners' conversational interaction. So I'm still waiting for getting published. This is already in the second round of publication. This is the article. So you can imagine what is publication journey, because now in China, they do not want Scopus, but they want SSCI because SSCI is quite important. In Turkey, quite the same. Okay, let me move to the slide again. Let me close this. Okay. Okay, now we come to the newly developed validated instrument. Yeah, I already give you example again. So This is only one example of newly developed and validated instrument. The keyword is preliminary development and validation of scale. You can name, for example, you are interested in TBLT, task-based language teaching. Okay, you can browse preliminary development and validation of task-based language teaching, scale or questionnaire. Why? This is very useful for what is research and publication, because in the introduction, the gap is already provided here. I have already told you before that the gap is actually basic psychological needs is mostly applied for ELT, which is only 2 competencies, but in ESP, 4 competencies. So I provide instrument for non-ESP lectures when they are teaching ESP around the globe. You can use this instrument. And this instrument is not used yet by another instrument, by another researchers. If you are interested, you can use this instrument for assessing law, for assessing agriculture, ESP in agriculture, ESP in medical department, ESP in mathematics, because the relatedness, the autonomy will be different from from EFL or ESL context. Okay, and the next will be systematic literature review. I give you example here. When you get stuck with a new research topic for your thesis or for your dissertation or for your research, you can follow this. Please provide systematic literature review and type the topics that you like, that match your interest, your research interest. For example, like this, a systematic review of conversational AI tools in ELT, publication trend, tool research, method, learning outcome, and antecedents. Why in this systematic literature review is what is meaningful for helping you? Because from systematic literature review, you can get more than one research topic with the limitation or gap. So you can collaborate with 8 researchers and write different topic from the suggestion and also limitation of previous studies provided in the systematic or meta-synthesis, meta-analysis, bibliographic analysis of a certain topic. So you can use this for obtaining your research gap. Okay, interdisciplinary. I already show you example of how to put different discipline or different discipline into EFL teaching. You can imagine what is eye movement technology or VR technology can be applied for research in English education department, in English learning. Psychology can be combined into the English language teaching and learning as well. So this is the source of topic. So as conclusion, later I'm going to give you tips how to develop your research topic. If you are already able to identify a good or strong research topic, we can work collaboratively for developing your research topic into introduction draft. As a conclusion, identifying research topic and locating meaningful gaps in ELT, you have to read. You have to read a lot. You have to review. You have to critically read the articles, relevant articles, and try to identify gap, try to synthesize, try to criticize limitation of the article that you have read before. So please try to remember again, as my statement before, when you are come up with research gap, try to see global needs. Global needs usually provided by article newly published within 3 years, within 4 years, or within 5 years, published by reputable journal. And reputable journal here is not only Scopus Index, but should be more, because in Scopus Index journal, there are still some and many predatory journal which charge you amount of dollars to publish your article, and that is unfair because you work for your research, you work hard for your research, you get review for free, and they do not pay the reviewers. But finally, when they publish your paper, they sell it for the readers, for other people. That is unfair. So I do suggest read SSCI or STA index paper to get your research topic and cap before you develop your topics, your gaps or limitation into research draft. And one last message, this is actually a clue for the next session. After you're able to identify a gap, you should write down the limitation of a previous study. Please provide at least 2 or 1 strong limitation. For example, theoretical gap, BPN in LT doesn't work for ESP, and you provide the evidence of the article, so you can develop this paragraph into introduction paragraph. In the middle of introduction will be gap, body of the introduction. And it should link with the literature review, especially for review of previous studies, should address this gap. So actually when you propose gap, you can start from single article, or you can start from reviewing 10s or 25 or even hundreds article, then you try to come up with limitation. That also works in identifying research gap. Yeah, I think that's enough from me. The next session, I move to the moderator, Ms. Safira. Okay, time is yours, Ms. Safira.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Yudi. That was a very inspiring and very knowledgeable session. I especially like how you try to elaborate your points by using articles that you have shown for us. I think that is very engaging. Okay, everyone. Sir, you may stop sharing your screen now. Professor Yudi, you may stop screen sharing.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Yes, it's okay.
Okay.
Okay, everyone. So now we are going to move into the next session, which is the Q&A session. I will start my screen. Okay, so please feel free to ask questions in the chat box, as I will read them for you for Professor Yudi to answer. So in the meantime, I see that I have seen some questions. Okay. Okay, I think I can pick the first question. The first question is from Rifda. What common mistakes are often made by researchers when conducting research? I think Professor Yudi can answer this question.
Okay, Ms. Safira. So, interesting question. Yeah, what kind of mistake researchers do in what is conducting their research? Yeah, as I'm telling you before, the first big mistake is that you have a data. You are teaching at elementary school, you are teaching at junior high school, or even you are teaching in in senior high school or college, or maybe PhD or master degree. But you confidently bring your data, bring the issue from your data without consulting. Consulting here means you have to synthesize a similar research article. Maybe those research article already address your issues. So you forgot, not only you, but researchers forgot about this issue. So before writing your article, because you have a data in your field, so you have to review You have to find first whether the data, your topic, the issue you bring will contribute to the body of knowledge, will provide what is novelty, provide new knowledge for the readers, solve global issue or not. If not, you try to consult. So without consulting, and you know, not only researchers, but also PhD student. I also have what we call PhD class, publication class from many universities. And they come to me, they show me, they present to me their research paper because of their data, not because of global issues need. And the second one, after they finish, they ask me to revise based on the standard of reputable journal. So that is quite impossible. Because what you have done will not contribute to the body of knowledge. And the third one, we have to submit to a non-predatory journal. And the issue is not derived from the journal. So how can the journal will what is published or article? You do not start from the journal. You do not start from the global issue in the journal. And you ask to publish. That is weaknesses number 3. And weaknesses number 4 is, what is it? We are publishing our research in predatory journal. Please do avoid this. I think 3 suggestion is quite represent for what is it, indicating weaknesses of researchers not only in Indonesia but also in different countries. And when you know my student in Chinese, because mostly of Chinese, they bring their own issue and ask the advisor or the consultant to publish in SSCI paper. You can imagine. We have to ask the student revise the topic, collect data. So that is a big mistake. Please try to identify the global need first before you writing. Before writing, identify this topic global. Oh, sorry, there is okay. So thank you, Miss Safira.
Okay, thank you very much for providing clear answers with a real life experiencer. That is very clear answer. And then I think we can move on to the next question. Wait, I will read it. So the next question will be from Butoy Ching. How can we identify the research gap during the process of research writing, sir?
Okay. So yeah, as you can see in my slide and also presentation, so in identifying research gap, you have a 5. Number 1 is look at the recommendation for further studies, usually stated in the limitation and conclusion and recommendation for further studies. Good research topic, good research article published in a good journal, reputable journal, always provide limitation, suggestion for further studies or prospective studies. And the next will be use systematic literature review. For example, you want to write about the phenomena of AI. What should you write? How you start your AI topic? You can use AI in senior high school systematic review. You can put the phrase systematic literature review and AI in writing. After you find an article relevant to your research topic, relevant to the data, please try to see the suggestion. The suggestion will be your research topic. Limitation will be, the limitation will guide you to find your research topic and data. So you have to identify recommendation from single article like Todd Sapon Suranakarin, and also systematic literature review, or even a newly developed instrument in the introduction section. You can see the gap, and you can find the gap and formulate your research topic. remember that is a topic should be very specific, should be a theory. So you have to reflect to the slide number 3 or number 2 that I have presented before. That is how we find a research topic.
Okay,
Yeah. But don't forget your critical perspective. If your reading journey is already good, already high, you can justify. You use your professional experiences, knowledge to criticize an article, look at the weaknesses, how they collect the data, how the theory, whether the theory already relevant or not. So you can criticize. But this one require long reading journey. But the first thing, as a beginner, you can follow recommendation for further studies or prospective researchers. Just follow that. And you can consult it to me, you can consult it to your senior after you already provide a research limitation and also cap. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Professor Yudi. Thank you very much for the helpful answer. Identification is an important process, but we also have to look out for the recommendation.
Exactly.
Yes. Okay, and then I think the next question will be from CR Dr. Ling Ying Le. He asked about how you explain to the students when they ask this question. In studies that involve a mediator or moderator, how should researchers clearly articulate the research gap to justify the inclusive of this variable, sir?
Okay, so moderating variable.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Actually, I have an article, but not in English education department. Let me show you. So how can moderating, wait, let me skip from, oh my gosh, let me close this. Let me show you how to find a research gap consisting of moderating variable. Oh my God, wait, let me, oh, I have a problem in closing my PPT. So moderating variable usually appear from suggestion for further studies, and you look at that the moderating variable, without the moderating variable, there will be what is curiosity. Wait, let me close it here and show it to you. Wait, let me share screen first and give you example in the field of economic. I present this in in Kalimantan, yeah. Wait, let me put it here and let me show you here presentation in Berau and the paper. Oh, sorry, not here in Unitomo. We have this one. Maybe this one. Wait. This one. Okay. It is not just putting moderating variable, but you have to find a gap, find of limitation of previous study by critically looking at the weaknesses of previous study, whether it should be a moderating variable or not, like this one. Improving digital entrepreneurship readiness of business student, the moderating role is digital mindset and digital education. So why the researchers put moderating role of digital mindset and also digital education? Because usually business entrepreneurship actually only for people who are doing business. Previous research is mainly emphasizing the correlation between entrepreneurship, business entrepreneurship readiness, and also for business people. So mostly addressing uh, companies or addressing small medium business enterprises which is already settled, so they look at the readiness of medium or small business enterprises. But finally they found that how about maybe it will have, how about business students or students who attend a course in business department like economic department, entrepreneurship department. So you are transferring from companies, from small or medium enterprises, and finally you come up. How if it is a moderating variable into the student who are learning business in university? So identifying this gap, you have to read, you have to, what is it, critically identify possible weaknesses. How if it is applied to business education, because previous research already addressed in small medium enterprises. How if I apply here the moderating variables by applying similar methodology, by applying similar theories? Of course, the theory of readiness will be a little bit different because they are not doing business yet. They are learning business knowledge. So you are modifying the theory. So how can I found out a new topic involving moderating variable? Of course, by for me, for this one, I try to apply in different contexts. So the second lesson that you can, the second message or lesson that you can learn is that when you want to justify something, such as like putting a moderating variable, you have to read relevant published article, and you try to discuss, try to synthesize whether it can be applied to different contexts. And you criticize the theory used, criticize how if on the student, because business student who are taking course in business department, later they have to be a business. And no studies are investigating the entrepreneurship, because entrepreneurship readiness is only for small and medium enterprises. So something new you bring here. If you want to develop a new topic from here, you can see the recommendation. They will propose, what is it, another moderating variable, and this is the moderating variable again. Propose, investigate impact of business digital mindset. So now gender, moderating variable. Yeah, maybe because gender in the business, like when company is, the CEO is man and the CEO is woman, the income will be different. All gender will influence the gender leadership influence the income of the company. So in this case, you can apply gender as a moderating role. So again, it is not easy for proposing something new if you do not read a published article. You try to read. Maybe the first time when I am learning how to write, maybe you will not be able as tough as me. I am graduated from PhD in English Education Department, and my English is not so native like what you imagine. I read an article by Linda Schroeter. She proposes, published in Call in 2017. I printed the paper. So before teaching, I read the article. During lunchtime, I read the article just to find what is something new here. How can he write down simple topic and publish into so my suggestion is please increase your reading journey, critical reading journey. Then you'll be able to come up with a good moderating variable in your topic or not. That is my suggestion. Thank you, Safira. Did I already share screen?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay, good. I forgot it. I have not shared screen. Sorry. Okay. So let's
Okay.
stop share
Thank
screen.
you. Yes. Thank you very much, Dr. Yudi, for the answer as well as showing us the article. It helps us to have a better description of the points that you're trying to explain. Okay, everyone, unfortunately, since our Q&A session has come to an end. Wait.
Maybe one more AI. I read article with AI. Can I have 1 minute to answer that question?
Okay,
Okay.
sir, 1 minute.
Yeah, now it's interesting. What is interesting, also challenging with the emergence of AI. If you already able, do not ask AI to identify research gap. Identifying research gap, drafting article limitation. should come from real article. You have to have a discussion. You have a Google Translate to translate based on your language convenience. So after you understood the content of the gap, you can draft it. The limitation is blah, 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 blah. You have type in sentences. After that, you can use AI for your assistant, but you cannot use AI for writing all the paper. That is not ethical. So you have to draft your limitation, your topic, and you can use AI for driving, for assisting you developing the draft. So in this case, my message is that you are not driven by AI, but you drive AI to make your research more efficient. Thank you, Ms. Safira.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Yudi, for your message about AI. I'm sure that all of us here have gained an amazing knowledge about research publication and strategies, especially in the ELT field. Okay, everyone, since our Q&A session has come to an end, we would like to conduct a group photo with all the participants here. So please kindly open your camera and use the virtual background that our team has provided in the chat box.
Thank you.
Okay, I will give everyone 20 seconds to prepare. I hope that is enough to open your camera and use the virtual background. Wait, I will stop screen sharing.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. I'm so glad to be with you here today.
We are also glad to have you as our speaker, sir. Okay, I see that most of the participants have opened the camera. For those who haven't, please open your camera and use the virtual background that our team has provided.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Okay, now we will start the group photo. Starting from the first slide, I will start the countdown. 1, 2, 3. Okay, the next slide. 1, 2, 3. And then for the last slide, 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you everyone for participating in the group photo. Wait, let me share screen again. Okay, so that concludes our event for today. Once again, thank you very much, Dr. Yudi, Professor Yudi, I mean, for attending this event as our key speaker. And also thank you to all of the participants who have gathered in this event. I hope that all of you had an enjoyable time here, gaining knowledge about research topics and gaps in English language teaching for SSCI publications. But before you leave, please make sure to fill in the attendance link in order for you to obtain your certificate of participation. Thank you, everyone, for joining this event. Lastly, this is Shafira as the Master of Ceremony for today, wishing you a wonderful day ahead. May we see each other again in another opportunity. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Yudi.
Thank you. I'm leaving. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. See you.